The Philadelphia Eagles are currently reeling from a bombshell that changes everything you thought you knew about their locker room drama. For 2 years, we watched a narrative unfold. Leaks, rumors, and whispers about a broken relationship between a star receiver and his quarterback. We all assumed it was internal chaos, genuine frustration, or a team spiraling out of control. But it turns out, the man at the center of the storm was pulling the strings the entire time. This wasn't just a series of unfortunate events. It was a calculated, high-stakes experiment that backfired in the most spectacular way possible. Before we dive in, smash that subscribe button if you want the fastest NFL updates on the planet. The player in question is none other than A.J. Brown. After his massive trade to the New England Patriots, you would expect him to keep his head down and look toward the future. Instead, he hopped onto a podcast and dropped a truth bomb so loud it shook the foundation of the NFC East. He didn't just hint at what happened. He flat out admitted that he was using the media as a weapon. Brown claimed that he leaked stories and fueled narratives to push his teammates and the coaching staff to be better. He believed that if he made things uncomfortable, it would force the organization to wake up. He thought he was playing 4D chess, using public pressure to spark a championship fire. But here's the question that should be on every fan's mind. Is it ever okay for a superstar to jeopardize team chemistry, just to prove a point? But wait until you hear exactly what he said about his future in New England, because it paints a very different picture of his time in Philly. For years, we were fed a specific story. The Eagles were struggling because of a rigid system, a quarterback who wouldn't throw into tight windows, and a lack of leadership. We heard reports about how the quarterback wouldn't invite receivers to voluntary workouts. We read the insider scoops about a fractured locker room. We pointed fingers at the coaching staff. We questioned the front office. We blamed everything except the possibility that someone was intentionally turning the heat up to see who would melt. Brown's admission is a masterclass in manipulation. He essentially confessed that he wasn't just a player. He was an anonymous source. He was the one feeding the beast, hoping the media pressure would force the team to pivot. He thought he was being a leader. In his own words, he felt that pressure is a good thing. Think about the sheer audacity of that. A player who is supposed to be a cornerstone of a franchise decides that he is the one who should dictate. He took his grievances, turned them into headlines, and waited for the reaction. But he admits, quite clearly, that he won't be doing that anymore as a Patriot. Why? Because the plan failed. It didn't lead to a championship. It led to his exit. This revelation lands hardest on Jalen Hurts. For 2 seasons, the quarterback was the primary target of this pressure campaign. Every time a story broke about him being hesitant or disconnected, we now have to wonder, was this a legitimate report, or was this a piece of a strategy designed to make the quarterback look bad? The damage to Hurts' reputation might be more permanent than the team realizes. He had to navigate a landscape where the very people supposed to be in his corner were potentially lobbying against him in the press. How does a quarterback build trust when he's being undermined from within his own receiving core? This creates a massive curiosity gap. If the leader of the receiver room was actively working against the face of the franchise, what does that say about the true culture of the Eagles during that window? We are talking about a complete betrayal of the locker room sanctity. I want to hear from you guys directly on this. Given that A.J. Brown has admitted to intentionally creating media friction to force his own agenda, who do you think is truly to blame for the Eagles' failure to capture another ring during those 2 years? Is it the player who acted as the pressure agent, or was the leadership already too weak to stop him? Drop a name and your reasoning in the comments below. There's a fine line between a veteran pushing his teammates and a player sabotaging the team's peace of mind. Some might argue that Brown was just trying to ignite a spark, but that only works if you have the respect of the entire building. Instead, he created a culture of suspicion. The front office, the coaching staff, and the fans all read his signals as a team that hated each other. The ironic part of this whole disaster is that Brown actually got exactly what he didn't want. He ended up being traded. The narrative he helped create made his presence in Philadelphia untenable. He thought he was building pressure to make the team stronger, but he actually
It's called
just
at the
built the
30
walls
by
that eventually
Devontae
closed him
Smith.
out of the city.
It really dictates
Now,
the
he
defense.
moves on to the Patriots. He's already singing a different tune. He says he's going to be quieter and more focused. He's working with a head coach in Mike Vrabel who doesn't tolerate locker room antics. He's paired with a young quarterback in Drake, May, who needs stability, not a veteran who treats the media like a puppet. Does this mean A.J. Brown has finally learned his lesson? Or is he just running from the wreckage he created? It's a fascinating pivot. He goes from being the guy who lit fires in the newsroom to a guy who claims he just wants to play ball. If he succeeds in New England without the drama, it proves that he knew exactly what he was doing in Philly, and that he simply chose to burn that bridge down for his own perceived push. For the Philadelphia organization, this is closure, even if they won't admit it. They're moving forward with a new look offense, a new strategy, and a new group of guys. By finally knowing the source of that pressure, the team can finally stop looking over its shoulder. The truth is, this confession changes how we look at every single insider report from the last 2 years. We were being played. The fans were being used to manufacture a reaction that the player wanted. It is a harsh reality for any fan base that invested their hearts and souls into those seasons. As we look toward the upcoming season, the Eagles are a blank slate. They've removed the biggest source of internal noise. Whether that makes them better or worse remains to be seen, but at least the playing field is clear. The era of the pressure campaign is over. And for the sake of the fans and the players left behind, let's hope we never see a cycle like that again. We're going to be tracking every single development in Philadelphia as they rebuild their culture. And we'll be keeping a very close eye on how A.J. Brown performs under the bright lights of New England without his favorite tool, the media microphone. Stick with us, because if this off-season has taught us anything, it's that the story you see on the surface is rarely the one being written in the shadows. The real drama is always in the details, and we're gonna be here to break it all down for you as it unfolds. Stay tuned for the next update on this developing saga.